peaceful coexistence is essential for the development of any country. In the presence of sustainable peace, a country develops socially, economically, and politically, while its absence gives birth to chaos and mayhem with complete disregard of the sanctity of human life, social development, economic development, and political development. This was the case in Somalia in 1991.
We were like hostages in our own land.
Clan skirmishes and conflicts of different communities were largely the order of the day.
The situation kept deteriorating over years, and by mid-2000s, the country had become a safe haven for terrorists across the globe after the formation of Harakat al-Shabaab al-Mujahideen, commonly known as Al-Shabaab, which started as a military wing for the Islamic Courts Union in the year 2006.
This was a deserted place, and the little population that existed starved of hunger and desperation.
Before AMISOM meesha ay joogin saad ogtihiin ba nimankaas ma ogolo waxbarashada oo kale oo aan ka ahayn diini.
Towards the end of September 2011, the Al-Shabaab, which had become an Al-Qaeda-affiliated terror group in Somalia, had spread its tentacles beyond Somalia's borders to Kenya and conducted a string of cross-border terror attacks, including killings, piracy in the Indian Ocean, and kidnapping of foreigners. On October 1st, 2011, a French tourist by the name Marie Dedu was kidnapped in Ras Kitau, Manda Island, and on 13th October 2011, two Spanish women, Montserrat Serra and Blanca Thibault, working for Doctors Without Borders, were also kidnapped by Al-Shabaab in Dadaab refugee camp.
They're doing atrocities in Kenya and then seeking safe havens in Somalia.
This is what informed KDF's incursion into Somalia by invoking the right to self-defense under Article 51 of the United Nations Charter.
We will defend our territorial integrity through all measures necessary
to remove Al-Shabaab not only from our country, but even closer to our country.
We had to seek them from their bases in Somalia.
Operation Linda Inchi was launched from three fronts along the Kenya-Somalia border. In the northern subsector, it was through Elwak. In the central subsector, the KDF troops began the advance from Liboi, and in the southern subsector, they advanced through Ras Kamboni. The troops in Elwak advanced in that axis and liberated Dif, Gerile, Burahache, Elade, Busar, Fafadun, and Bardere.
Wakati tumefika Elwak, wakatumia the same tactics ya kusema kwamba hakuna namna tutaingia hiyo town. So sisi naye by force lazima to move forward because Operation Linda Inchi ilikuwa ni fighting mission.
Kaenda mpaka Busar. Hiyo center ya Busar mahali tulifika si kutarajia ni kuwa ndani ni center kubwa, lakini ilikuwa ni kidogo.
The troops in Liboi advanced and liberated Doble, Osingo, Tabda, Harbole, Veleskokani, Hayo, Afmado, Mido, Bibi, Jana Abdallah, all the way to Kismayu.
The operation was hard, but it was successful. We pacified Tabda, Beleskokani, Hayo, Afmado, all the way to Kismayu.
In the southern subsector, towns like Kolbio, Ras Kamboni, Burgavo, Kude, Bulahaji, all the way to Kismayu.
Our plan was to kuingia southern region ambazo zilikuwa dominated na Al-Shabaab to an extent that they were kidnapping and cross border raids. So that was our main aim, and to create a buffer zone.
At the height of Al-Shabaab control, the defense and control of Kismayu town was a top priority for Al-Shabaab due to its strategic location and the presence of key infrastructure like Kismayu International Airport and Kismayu Seaport, which were key revenue generators for Al-Shabaab operations.
The biggest issue about Kismayu was the fact that it choked the Al-Shabaab financial muscle.
They were collecting a lot of zakat or tax, so they were not ready to lose this town.
Aware of KDF advancement through central and southern subsectors, Al-Shabaab had fortified the town and were ready to put maximum resistance against KDF troops on land. In response to this, KDF planned for a covert amphibious landing operation in Kismayu dubbed Operation Sledgehammer. The operation took place in North Beach on Friday 28 September 2012. After a series of planning and drills with extreme regard to secrecy in order to preserve operation security under the cover of darkness, Kenya Navy carried out an important role of delivering troops, supplies and ammunition into Kismayu. Operation Sledgehammer was considered a turning point in the KDF's war against Al-Shabaab and indeed the entire peace effort spectrum in Somalia, as it got the enemy by surprise.
Ilitugharimu muda karibu mwezi mmoja ndio tuweze kufika Kismayu. Kabla hatujafika Kismayu kulikuwa na operation ilikuwa imeandaliwa ambaye ilikuwa inaitwa Sledgehammer, ambaye hao ni watu wetu walikuwa wanakuja katika beach landing. So kawaida wajua ukitaka kuua nyoka unapiga kichwa. So wakati tulikuwa tayari sasa tuko kukaribia Kismayu, basi watu wetu waliweza kutokea na upande wa beach na wakafanya very successful beach landing na wakaingia na tukakamata Kismayu bila resistance kubwa.
This became the beginning of the end of the militia who had occupied major towns like Mogadishu, Marka, Kismayu and other small towns.
We never had any challenges in terms of Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab have actually deserted Kismayu, Port City. They have actually deserted the area. So therefore we never had any challenges. We actually entered the town without any resistance at all.
Al-Shabaab was weakened and sunk under the weight of a series of setbacks, most notable being the collapse of local support, loss of more than a sixth of Somalia's territory to KDF in the south, and the steady stream of defections. The success of Operation Sledgehammer was attributed to the level of training on the part of the KDF soldiers and leadership of the KDF commanders at all levels. Following the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2036 of 2012, the Kenya Defence Forces was integrated into African Union mission in Somalia, AMISOM, so as to sustain the gains made by the troops in Somalia.
The regional bodies and regional forces came also in support of us, and this gave rise to AMISOM.
I am requesting the Parliament to approve the request by the Commission of the African Union to rehat the Kenya Defence Forces currently operating in Somalia to AMISOM.
AMISOM was a multinational force under the African Union with the approval of the United Nations Security Council, with a mandate to support transitional governmental structures, implement a national security plan, train the Somali security forces, and to assist in creating a secure environment for the delivery of humanitarian aid. During the operation, KDF presence in Somalia was met with a lot of resistance from the Al-Shabaab. They conducted numerous attacks on our troops, security installations, and civilians both in Kenya and Somalia.
dadku waa la baqay ganacsiga hata ciriiri buu ahay
waxay ahayd hoyga argixisada
It was home of terrorists and war. There were no services provided to the residents. The town was merely a place where the basic necessities of life could not be found easily because of the presence of the Al-Shabaab. It was a place where operations to pose threat to the neighboring countries of East Africa were conducted.
waxaa la oran karaa xilligaas
When Al-Shabaab controlled this town, there were no development in aspects such as healthcare, education, and communication. This place was dull and gloomy.
KDF's presence in Somalia came at a price. This was the sacrifice of our troops who went to great strides to maintain peace and the stability of our country.
Let us all therefore remember those who have fallen in the line of duty and honor the ultimate sacrifice.
Indeed, it has come at a cost.
Our colleagues have paid the ultimate price.
This is an eventuality of any war. So it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
I commiserate with their families and pray that God may give them and their families the mental fortitude to be able to continue with life.
The ability to remember the fallen soldiers and recognize them is what is key also.
And I want to reassure even the families of the ones that lost their loved ones that we're still with them. KDF is still, they're still members of KDF, and whichever support that they require, we'll always endeavor to support them.
May their souls rest in eternal peace, knowing their dreams came to reality. The KDF conducted both kinetic and non-kinetic operations to degrade Al-Shabaab and at the same time win the hearts and minds of the local population. The KDF engaged the public through civil-military cooperation, and some of the interventions included delivery of medical aid.
Every Monday they are coming here and treating people well. They treat civilians, and also if they see a critical case, they just refer them to level 2 hospitals, Doble.
Opening up of main supply routes, renovations of airstrips.
Currently, the Kenya Defence Forces engineering team is working on the renovation of the airstrip. This contributes to the security of the airstrip.
Key leadership engagements, training and mentoring of medical personnel.
Whatsoever I gain here or I learn here, I want to assist my fellow teammates, my fellow workmates to give training in a practical field, in a theory form, so that also for them to get to assist the community at Duble community.
Building of classrooms.
We made requests to the AMISOM troops who constructed these 5 classrooms that really helped us. The students are now motivated knowing that they learn under these complete structures. This has uplifted the status of the school and as well boosted the morale of the students.
Female engagements where they would empower the women of Somalia.
We've also seen women being in the forefront of reducing school dropouts, as girls are able to go to school, they are able to take up leadership positions, and for us it's a plus, and we can truly say that we did our best in empowering the local women.
Doble Women Association, Doble Women Youth and KDF ATMIS troops work closely together to improve, empower and raise the skill level of young girls in Doble. The ATMIS female engagement team promote and transfer the skills and knowledge that they have to the girls in Doble.
Provision of water and drilling of boreholes, regular humanitarian aid like provision of foodstuffs, and participating in sporting activities to promote coexistence.
We appreciate the KDF fraternity for the beautiful game that we regularly play. This opportunity brings together the locals and the KDF troops, raising cooperation that exists between us. We look forward to future engagements like this.
After 11 years of stabilizing the region, there was a need for change of the mandate of the troops in Somalia, as Al-Shabaab activities had been already suppressed in the region, bringing peace in various towns, which led to the formation of the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, ATMIS. The African Union Transition Mission in Somalia was formed on 1st of April 2022, following the end of the AMISOM mandate on the 31st of March 2022. The mission focused on both military and institutional autonomy of the Somali government. The KDF troops were to carry out the ATMIS mandate effectively by conducting jointly planned and targeted operations with the friendly forces and the Somali security forces. This they did effectively through fortification of defense positions, joint patrols, mentoring the Somali security forces, and training them on tactical combat casualty care.
We performed joint day and night patrols with the KDF troops. They provided ammunition needed and other logistics. And in case of casualties, they provided evacuation of personnel for emergency treatment.
tababar haday noqoto caafimaad hadii loo baahdo gurmad waa dawladda u horeysa ee garab naga siiso dhammaan waxyaabaha dhan.
Meanwhile, the ATMIS troops continue conducting a phased handover of security responsibilities to the Somali security forces and empowerment of the Somali people.
The town has developed so much. The settlements near have also developed. The town also made significant progress in the areas of health. Previously, we have had patients who were taken to neighboring countries for treatment and surgical procedures, but now we are able to perform and get these services from the ATMIS Level 2 hospital here in Doble. Businesses and other services are also booming, and the progress is visible, and things are on the right trajectory.
The mission's mandate is set to end on the 31st of December 2024 with the transition to the AU Support and Stabilization Mission in Somalia, AMISOM, which will prioritize ongoing peace-building measures such as providing security to Somali citizens and degrading Al-Shabaab, while leaving international partners and the Somali federal government to work on state building. The KDF has made an impact in Somalia. They have made Somalia much better and brought back hope to the residents of Somalia, which has made it possible for towns to develop.
I believe Jubaland will not have achieved the success it has were it not for the active participation of the Kenya Defence Forces and the roles they played in the liberation of Jubaland. This place was empty, deserted, and was controlled by the Al-Shabaab as the population fled to safer grounds in search of food. Today, this town is completely changed with a system of administration in place. It has made progress in business, health, and other services, and this is the positive contribution of the Kenya Defence Forces.
marka hore waxaan rabaa inaan halkan mahad celin balaaran uga celiyo ciidamada Kenya ka hawlgala garoonka iyo si guudba Jubaland.
Not forgetting that back home, they have made their country peaceful and ended worries of terrorism, enabling Kenyans conduct their businesses and errands with no worries. This is a story of dedication, sacrifice, war, humanity, professionalism, and success. This is the legacy of the Kenya Defence Forces' presence in Somalia. In the heart of our nation, a force stands united. One force forging ahead for mission success. The Kenya Defence Forces, a mission-capable force deeply rooted in professionalism.